everyone. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you joining us this evening for our event today, where we will be talking about a checklist to help you prepare for your next Model UN school year and about student elections to help you become a club officer, or if you're a teacher, make sure you have a great set of student leaders to help you run your Model UN program. I'm Laura Beth Goldsmith, and I'm really excited to be running this session for you today. And I'd also love to get an idea of who we have here with us today as well. So if you don't mind introducing yourself in the chat, I'd really appreciate it. Please feel free to share where you're from, if you're a student, teacher, or parent, and also what you're hoping to learn at this event. It's also always great when I can get an idea of what everyone really wants to learn today. And while you're taking a moment to introduce yourselves, I'll also go ahead and introduce myself. So for those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Laura Beth Goldsmith, and I'm the Executive Director of Partnerships at Best Delegate, which basically means I have the amazing job of getting to work with all of our students, parents, teachers, governments, the United Nations, different organizations that we partner with to help students learn Model UN. And I've been doing Model UN for almost 20 years now. I started as a student and I did Model UN throughout college at Emory University. And I joined the team at Best Delegate 10 years ago, and I have absolutely loved getting to teach students and teachers around the world Model UN. I got my master's in management through Harvard and have been here at the team helping to spread Model UN around the world. So I'm really excited to help those of you joining us today and those of you watching this after the fact to build up your Model UN programs. And I see here an awesome number of teachers who are starting new programs. Welcome. Trying to get Model UN up and running. I see some teachers that have new programs that are facing some challenges there. And I also see some student leaders that are running Model UN programs in their high schools or elsewhere. So awesome. Welcome all of you. Looking forward to helping you get set up for a great year next year. And I know many of you are probably in the process of winding down your school year and winding down clubs and activities. So this should really help you as you're preparing for student leadership elections, if those happen this year at your school, as well as setting up for your Model UN team next year. And a little bit about Best Delegate. We are the world's leading resource for Model UN. We have online free resources for the community, and we also run programs. We run workshops and conferences, and we also run summer camps and training for teachers as well. And our programs have had students from all over the world join us. I see we have teachers here, students here from today joining us from around the world as well. We've had people from over 100 different countries attend our programs. Our resources have been viewed more than 10 million times, and our programs consistently receive really high ratings from the students and the teachers that attend them. And so today I'm going to go through a student leader and a teacher checklist for you to really learn how to set up your Model UN program for success. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about club officer roles and what are some of the roles that you might want to have in your club if you're a new club or a more experienced club. And if you're running for leadership, how you can set yourself apart when trying to obtain one of those leadership roles at your school. And then we'll get some time for Q&A. I really want to help answer your questions to help you have a successful Model UN program. And then at the end, we'll also share some opportunities that you can participate in Model UN over the summer or receive additional training during the school year if you're interested in that as well. So that's what you can expect over the next little bit. And to jump right in, the first thing I want to do is share with everyone a checklist to help student leaders really succeed in their roles. And for those of you who are advisors, you'll learn quickly that empowering your student leaders is key to success to running a successful program and taking some of the workload off your plate as well. So, the first thing that's really important for student leaders and advisors to do together is create a clear set of goals for your student leaders to achieve this year. And if you're a student running for a club officer, this is something that you'll want to include in your speech at elections if your club runs elections. And as you're approaching making these goals, you're going to want to have SMART goals that are specific and measurable and attainable and relatable and timely, and have them be something that you actually can do within that 1 year time frame. You're going to want to work with your student leaders and your advisors together as you set these goals. And then you really want them to be achievable so that your leadership team can lead and achieve these objectives. When you create your plan, you're going to sit down as a leadership team either before the summertime, during summer, or at the start of the school year, and come up with what are the key things that you want to do for the year. You'll start with your annual planning. Then you'll come up with quarterly objectives or what you want to do in the next 90 days to help keep on track for what you want to do that school year. You'll also have weekly meetings as a leadership team to help keep your program on track. And then you'll have a process for solving the challenges that come up and really getting things done to keep your Model UN program going. And when it comes to having successful leaders, my second tip is to make sure all student leaders have clear quarterly priorities that they own. Not a big objective that the whole team needs to do together, but specific things that different club officers or leaders want to own. So you'll want to create a list as a group of the top priorities for your team. And you'll want to assign a specific priority to each of the individuals on your leadership team. And you'll want to do this based on the students' skills as well as the roles that they're sitting in, and really ensure that the priorities are going to be met. So, there are some things that multiple people might be working together on, like a fundraiser or like recruiting new students. But you'll always have one key owner that's helping to lead up the different initiatives. So, when you get together with your team at the beginning of the year or even before summer, you might want to create a list of the most important things that your team is trying to accomplish in the next 30 to 90 days and really have specific owners on who is going to be managing those initiatives. This is an example from a club that I worked with almost 10 years ago now, and they really came up with an awesome set of priorities. They shared what their purpose was as a team when they met and planned for the year, and their goal was to provide 100% guaranteed good time for students interested in world affairs to have fun and learn. And their vision for their club was to have 75 members, to win an its outstanding large delegation at Bosman, and to host a 200-person conference. And in fact, they did achieve all of these things. But that was their long-term vision that they wanted to do over the course of a few years. For those of you with new Model UN programs, some of these things might not be attainable in the very short run. So you'll want to measure out what are the things we want to do in 1 year, and then specifically what are the things we might want to do in the next 90 days. So, some goals that you might want to think of when you're working with your student leadership team is number one, a membership goal. How many members do you want to have on your team? New teams, 50 is not necessarily realistic in year one. Having a team of 12 to 20 members could be great for your school in year one of a new program, for example. Some more established schools might have 50 and even sometimes 150 at some large schools, but it really just depends on the size of the high school as well or the middle school as well. Another objective that your team might want to come up with is something around holding a simulation or running a conference. You could also have goals around awards or outcomes from conferences, or speakers or fundraisers, either for your own Model UN program or for a nonprofit organization that your school is passionate about. So, your team together will want to set your club priorities for the year, set the mini goals that you need to be achieving in 90 days, and then also have a specific owner who's going to be in charge of that. So, in this example, you can see that the president of the club is responsible for really helping to ensure that they recruit the new members. And you can see the head delegate or the person who's responsible for training is going to help ensure that they hold delegate training sessions to help the students do well at Model UN conferences. So, when you're setting up your leadership team, you'll want to come up with your big goals. You'll want to break them down into smaller goals and make sure there's a specific owner of each of these objectives to help your Model UN club. The third thing I would recommend for our student leaders is to create an organizational chart with all the available roles. I've seen this a good amount at different Model UN clubs, depending upon the size of the program and also what their goals are. But pretty universally, you'll see a Model UN advisor who's a teacher that is helping to oversee the program, and you'll see a president who oversees the Model UN organization. Typically, you'll also see four additional roles in most Model UN clubs: a vice president, a head delegate, a secretary, and a treasurer. These are pretty common. And then the additional roles you'll see get added on depending upon the size of the club and what your club's objectives are. So, for example, you can see there's the role of vice president. Typically, a vice president might be someone who's in charge of membership recruitment, and they may run an outreach team to get more people to join the club and the program. A head delegate is typically the individual who helps to train the team, and sometimes they'll run a mentorship team. So there might be additional leadership opportunities underneath the head delegate for more students to mentor others. The secretary might run a technology team. If there's a website or if there's a different communication system that the team uses, they may help to run that. And your treasurer might have a team of fundraising individuals that help them with specific fundraisers or initiatives. And you may have heard of the term Secretary General. This is typically if you're running a Model UN conference, your Secretary General and then their secretariat team would help to facilitate that conference. So this is what a typical organizational chart looks like. If anyone has any questions on that, feel free to drop them in the chat. And also, if you're interested in having one of these roles at your school, feel free to drop that in the chat as well. So these are some of the typical roles that you'll see in a Model UN club. And again, the number of roles will expand over time depending upon the size of your club. But I definitely recommend trying to have an outreach team and different mentors and other roles beyond potentially five, because it gives you a chance to develop more student leaders, especially younger student leaders, so you have more sustainability year over year as your seniors graduate and you have turnover. So that's an example of the organizational chart. And you'll want to also, tip four, write job descriptions for each of these roles. If you're a teacher launching a new program, this is something that you might have to put out in the first year when students are running for these roles. If you're a student leader, you might help develop these, job descriptions before student elections happen. They don't have to be long or fancy, but they should include what are the key things that these different individuals are going to be responsible for. So, MUN director, or MUN advisor, or teacher, that's the person in the advisory role. They help ensure there's student leaders that are in their positions. They're an advocate for the program, and they help make sure that the program overall stays on track. In some schools, they also have to be responsible for all of the finances and logistics. It just depends on the requirements at your school. But for example, your president of a club might be in charge of your club operating system, which is your spreadsheet or your system for keeping everything organized. They might be in charge of your weekly meetings, and they might be in charge of managing the rest of the leadership team. Your vice president, for example, might be in charge of recruiting members, social events, and helping oversee any outreach team that might exist. And that's what lead, manage, hold accountable means there. Your head delegate might be responsible for helping people prepare for conferences and general MUN training, as well as helping run a mentorship team. If you have sophomores, juniors, and seniors that want to help mentor the new freshmen that come on or younger middle school students, that's absolutely something that could happen there. Your secretary might be in charge of helping to take notes and run club meetings. They might be in charge of different IT things like managing social media, a website, or email communication. And they may also manage a web team or an IT team, depending upon the size of your school. So, this is an example of some of the descriptions that you could come up with so that people can know what they're running for and run for the right positions that meet and match their strengths. This is also a key thing. Tip five, make sure that your student leaders are in the right seats to do their jobs well. As a teacher, you might know many of the students that are going to be running for club positions, or at your school in year one, you might be selecting the leaders of your team if there's not yet enough people to have elections. And so you want to make sure that you put people in seats that really match their skills. So you want to think about what they're strong at, if they're good at mentoring other people, if they're really an award winning delegate that can help other students do well at Model UN, you might want them in that head delegate role. Whereas if they're super social and great at bringing people in, you might want them in that vice president type of role. So allow students to take on tasks that fit their and help put the right students into the right seats or roles on your leadership team. My next recommendation is to encourage your student leaders to represent your MUN program's core values. So take a few minutes as you're planning for the year to decide what are our values as a Model UN team or as a program. If it's something like having leaders that are well spoken, approachable, knowledgeable, and positive, you want to make sure that the leaders of your program are exemplifying these things throughout the Model UN year and season. So not all clubs will have the same values, but you want to make sure that your leadership team is exemplifying these and that students are living up to them. Tip seven, you want to have student leaders attend all of the weekly leadership meetings. It is up to you how you want to structure it. If you want it to be right before your general club meeting or a day or two beforehand, do what makes sense for your school and your structure with extracurriculars. But you'll want to have a separate meeting for your leadership team from your general club meeting. The leadership team meeting is when you're doing the planning and logistics. The club meeting is when you might be doing the fun Model UN activities and preparation for conferences and those types of things. So during your leadership team meetings, you'll want to have a weekly agenda that you'll go through. You'll go over those big goals or rocks that you're working towards as a club. You'll review any headlines or big things that are happening with the club that week. You'll want to go over any of the things, the to dos that your different club officers were working on and whether or not they completed them. And then you'll want to go over any issues. So, when you do this, you'll want to come up with a list of the challenges that your club is facing and try to solve them together as a leadership team. And you'll want to prioritize these and start with the most important ones. And as you go through, you'll want to identify, discuss, and solve the real problems that you're looking at. And it's important to meet weekly as a leadership team to keep track of your progress and to make sure you've got good communication and mentorship and organization in your program. And then the last responsibility of your student leaders and of your advisor that I want to highlight today is also to assist student leaders in solving their key issues. So during your weekly leadership meetings, you're going to want to identify what is the top challenge facing your club. You're going to want to discuss the issues and the causes of it at a deeper later, and then you're going to want to solve it. You're going to want to come up with creative solutions for the top issues. So in this example here, you can see that we have a Harry Potter leadership team of this Model UN club. Harry Potter might be the president of the club, and he raised the fact that the conference that they're holding, this is his issue, is the same day as a Quidditch tournament. So registration numbers are low. So the leadership team might discuss and identify, oh, we might not have picked the best date. There's a conflict that a lot of students are interested in. They're going to discuss potential solutions and come up with a solve. It might be that they move the time of the conference, they may move it to a different day, or they may, involve the Quidditch tournament in their conference in some way to make it more appealing so that people also want to do it. So, whatever the issues are, you'll want to go through them in priority order and try to solve them as a leadership team. So, these again are the key 8 steps that I would encourage you to take as student leaders to set up your program for success. Number one, set a clear set of goals for your leadership team to achieve. Step two, make sure all the student leaders have clear priorities. Step three, create an organizational chart with all the available student leadership roles so students know what they can try to attain as they're joining the leadership team. Step four, write job descriptions for each of these roles. Step five, ensure that all the student leaders are in the right seat and doing their jobs well. Step six, encourage your student leaders to represent their Model UN program's core values. Step seven, encourage your student leaders to attend those weekly meetings. And step eight, help the student leaders identify issues and really solve them so that you can stay on track for the year. So, those were the 8 key steps for student leaders. I know we have a lot of advisors here with us today as well. So, I want to touch on some of the key accountabilities or checklists that an advisor might want to think through as well. And my colleague Tony is going to drop the checklist for both students and for advisors into the chat as well. So, you have this resource after our call today. So, for teachers, some of the things that you're going to want to think about either now before the end of the school year, or at the start of next school year, if that works better for you. First thing, ensuring you have a strong team of student leaders who are leading the Model UN program under the direction of the teacher or advisor. Creating a calendar of all the MUN conferences you plan to attend in the next 6 to 12 months. Some of these dates are available for next year. Some of them won't become available until August or September when conferences finalize them. But feel free to check out the Best Delegate MUN conference database. It's a great resource to see when conferences are happening. And I'll have my colleague Tony also drop the links to the high school, middle school, and college conference databases for you as well. The third step is to create a written plan for when you need to register for conferences and organize logistics by. The fourth step is to create a written process for how to prepare students for MUN conferences, and we specifically have a guide on how to prepare for conferences. Teachers, I would share this with your head delegate and have them plan to teach the majority of the Model UN lessons, but some of them you may have to help with, and we've got some awesome video resources to help you go through a lot of these key training resources for your students before they attend MUN conferences. Fifth thing, you'll want to create a student roster in a spreadsheet with all the key contact information for all the students in the program to keep it all organized. This could be the club secretary or this could be the advisor that helps to create that. The sixth thing is to set the day and time for your weekly leadership meetings and the general club meetings. This needs to be done, the advisor and the student leaders in conjunction to make sure it works for everyone. The next thing is to create an agenda or plan for how you'll run your weekly meetings. We've got some awesome articles on the Best Delegate website on what to do in your first club meeting, as well as at general club meetings as well. Step 8 is to set up a process for regular communication with your students. Some students, some student groups maintain an Instagram account to post club updates. Some have WhatsApp groups or other group methods that they're communicating in their school. There's a lot of different ways schools do this, but you'll want to set up your regular communication channel. You'll also want to set up a budget for the year of what the funding needs to be for your program. And then step 10 is to create a plan for any fundraisers that need to happen for your program to run. So those are really the 10 key steps for a teacher as they're starting to prepare their Model UN program. And now I want to take some time to answer all of your questions. I see some people with their hands up as well as some questions in the chat. Please feel free to drop your questions directly into the chat, and I will get through as many of these as we can today as well. So the first question I see from Elizabeth, does this list provide conferences that may occur over Zoom or only in person? The conference database actually has a little filter that you can use to toggle whether you're looking for in-person conferences or virtual conferences. Both are available. Best Delegate runs nearly monthly virtual conferences, which are great for training and preparation for your program if you're looking for some virtual options. And then it shares a lot of awesome local options that are run by high schools and colleges in your area for students as well. So great question, Elizabeth. I definitely recommend checking that out as well. I see another question from Stephanie. Do you have a sample student organization chart and job descriptions that you could share? Yes, we do have an article on our website on this. And what I can do also is after this event, we're going to send out the recording of the event, and I can include some example job charts and descriptions in it. If that would be helpful for everyone, I'm very happy to do so. I see another great question from Summer, a teacher. How much time can a teacher expect to spend a week setting up a new program? This really depends on how ambitious you're trying to be with your Model UN program. Are you trying to travel somewhere far to a 4-day Model UN conference, or do you have more moderate goals of attending a local 1-day conference in the fall and possibly, a 1-day or 2-day conference in the spring as well? Moderate goals, yeah, I think that's definitely realistic in a first year. Most teachers, I would say, probably spend 2 hours in like the supervisory role where the student leaders are doing their weekly club meeting, their weekly leadership meeting, and then their weekly club meeting. Typically, clubs run a meeting that's around 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon what's typical for extracurriculars at your school. And then I'd say most teachers probably 15 to 30 minutes outside of that if there's not a major conference coming up, just in terms of like communication or reminders with the leadership team. The biggest things that advisors might be doing outside of that are any logistics or fundraising communication with the office, those types of tasks. But really, you want to empower your student leaders to do as much of it as possible so that you're more there to empower and support them and don't have to take on a lot of the logistical pieces. So, Summer, if I'm trying to set your expectations realistically, I'd say 2 hours of the supervisory role and about a half hour a week of 15 minutes to a half hour a week of potential additional. But you can make it less depending upon how ambitious you're trying to be with your program. Andy, I see another great question. Do you have any programs that help students prepare for specific Model UN programs? Great question. We run workshops and training for students. We run summer camps that are a great way to help students up their Model UN skills. And then we also offer private coaching. So if specific students really want to do well at a conference, they can work one-on-one with an expert Model UNer to help them prepare for a conference and even for a specific committee. And in that private coaching, we do help students with their opening speeches. We can help them brainstorm ideas for resolutions and solutions, and really just help them become more prepared. So we run those workshops, beginner through advanced levels workshops in the fall and in the spring for students. And then we also do have that private coaching as well as summer camps that can help students up their Model UN skills. So we don't run workshops specifically for specific conferences because a lot of it applies to a variety of conferences students might be attending, but we're happy to work with them to help support that. And Tony dropped in the link to our workshops program. We'll be releasing our information on workshops for next year in just a little bit, but I can tell you that we are definitely going to be running workshops in September and October. If you want to pencil that into your school year, we'll be running them on Saturdays throughout September and October to help students learn Model UN skills. Okay, I see a bunch more great questions. Um, do you have some, Tina asked, do you have some ideas for good material on the UN for students? Great question. The UN itself has a good number of resource articles and videos to help students that are geared towards students, but their websites aren't necessarily the most searchable. One thing I would recommend is checking out the Best Delegate student resource page. And specifically, let me share with everybody on this page, we have some example things that you can use. We've got how to run your own mini simulation. So, in terms of good material for students to start to practice Model UN and learn, I'd recommend checking out this mini simulation page. We have a student cheat sheet to Model UN in it, which is really helpful for students just learning procedure and how to write resolutions in the process. We have a sheet on how to chair, which means how to run a Model UN simulation. And we also have example background guides that are like topic briefings that you can use with your club to run and train students to do Model UN. So these are some examples of topics, material that we've prepared for you that you can use with your clubs for free to learn about different topics related to the UN. And then also do check out, we've got a placard set for you. So you can print this for your club. There's a set of 54 countries or full 193 set of countries that you can use, and you can print this. It has the flow of a Model UN committee, and it also has fill in the blanks of how to make motions. We try to make procedure as easy as possible, so I'd recommend checking that out. And one more thing on this mini sim page, we do have an advisor cheat sheet to Model UN as well. So for those of you that are like, what am I supposed to do at my first conference? This will help you to see. Typically, an advisor might run a debrief at the end of the day. Here's some of the types of questions. Here's some of the things you should be paying attention to at a conference. So I would recommend checking out the student resources page on the Best Delegate website, and specifically the how to run your own mini simulation page. That'll give you some great content to help your program start to run practice simulations and start to understand about the UN and global issues as well. Okay, I see another great question. Can you assist us in developing activities or identifying resources for activities to enhance your club meetings? Um, Great question. One of those would be these types of simulations that you could run. I'll share on our student resources page. There's also a ton of different resources and activities that you can do. So, on any of these areas, if you want to teach resolution writing, for example, you can go to our How to Write a Resolution page. There's a video that you can use to teach students resolution writing. There's an activity that you can do to practice resolution writing. There's a ton of different debate activities on here. So definitely feel free to check these out. Let me also share one or two fun ones that I love to do just to help people get excited during club meetings. I like to just run public speaking activities like Sell Me Something, where you give students objects and they have to sell it as a way to practice public speaking. I like to run an activity called Tell Me the History of, and put a random picture of something on the screen, like how zebras got their stripes, and students have to come up with a creative history of it. So basically, what I'm trying to share is I like to mix a variety of public speaking activities, current events discussions, and Model UN simulations into a program to make it really lively and fun for students. And you might also take turns having different students lead the activities that you're doing in your Model UN practices that you have as a team. Great question. I see another question from Jonathan. What do you think is the most important quality a student leader should have? Um, Depends on your objectives, but I think follow through and approachability are both really important. You want people that are welcoming and positive, creating a great team, and that are going to follow through on the goals and the objectives that you set. Um, I think that a lot of the skills can be learned and taught, but if they're excited and determined, that's really important to having great leaders involved in your program. I also see a great question around how can I set myself apart when running for a student leadership position? I think that's a great question. And a couple things that would take into consideration. First is your own Model UN skills and track record of success personally, as well as with mentoring others, can help differentiate you from your peers when you're trying to run for a club leadership position. Another thing is your goals and your ideas for the club. What are you trying to achieve? If it's a mission that people believe in, they're a lot more excited to vote for you. And I would also say your outside of school development. If you bring a lot of expertise to your club, that might be something that your team is really excited about. So ways you can enhance that, you can attend summer programs or trainings, you can go to workshops or get additional private coaching or read a lot of resource articles to help you bring back more skills and knowledge to your Model UN team. So, great question. I think you can set yourself apart again with your skills, your goals, and your own development. Another question that I see here is around what if I don't win or can't get a role in my school's MUN club? This happens. Don't fear if your first year running for a position you don't get it, or in a future year you don't get the ultimate role that you're looking for. I would say that there are some huge programs that are really competitive, and then there are smaller programs where you've got a great initial shot as well at taking on roles. Um, Outside of your own individual school, there are also opportunities to take on leadership in Model UN. For example, Best Delegate runs a club program during the school year where students can go through leadership training and chair training, and then they can help to chair our virtual conferences. And we also take on a set of interns every year at Best Delegate to help the Model UN community. And these student interns are volunteers, and they help with things like creating Model UN content, social media content, web development, and more. So there are definitely opportunities for leadership in your club. There are often opportunities for leadership in running a conference at your school, and then there can also be opportunities in leadership with Best Delegate as well to help the Model UN community. So great question there. Okay, I see a few people with your hands raised. If you don't mind dropping your questions in the chat, I would definitely appreciate that. Laurel, I see a great question here. How do you apply for student internships and how long do they last and what does the workload look like? I'll say this varies. Myself and Tony are typically the ones that you can reach out to. My email is laurabeth@bestdelegate.com. And we really do like to customize these for students based on their own interests and strengths. So, for example, right now we have one student who's amazing, who's helping with all of our social media content. And we have another student that's interested in web development and is helping us improve our website and improve our search engine optimization. So, if you're interested in doing an internship with Best Delegate, it might be that you want to help support Model UN conferences or create content, or you may have something else that you're good at that you want to help on. Please feel free to reach out to our team about the potential of taking on one of these roles. We'll likely also have a formal application available in the fall. But if you're interested in starting with us or doing something over the summer as well, don't hesitate to reach out. We're always excited for passionate students and MUN leaders to take on different leadership roles. And in terms of how long they last and what the workload looks like, it varies. We have students that have been interning with us for a few years now. We typically like them to be at least 3 months at a minimum, typically closer to a school year. And the workload is typically at least an hour a week, sometimes closer to 2 to 3, depending upon the role that a student is taking on. Great question. Okay, I see another question. Would Best Delegate consider running programs in other parts of the world, such as in Ghana? The answer is absolutely. Our team has run Model UN programs all over the world. We also run them virtually for people in different countries as well, which we love to do because it's often more accessible and affordable for our partners. Personally, I've had the chance to travel all over the world teaching Model UN, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates and South Korea Colombia and Honduras and Panama and Austria and all over. And it's amazing to get to work with students and teachers and governments in the UN and different places. So if you're interested in workshops or conferences, you can also reach out to our team about those types of opportunities as well. Great question. Okay, I see another question from an advisor. How would you recommend getting started as a new school whose advisors have no experience and want help? Great question. My honest answer is attend the Advisor Institute. We run an amazing 3-day program during the summer. It is virtual and done fully online, where we'll give you all the resources to help you start a Model UN club. You'll get to work with other teachers that are also going through that training, and it's a really great way to learn all the fundamentals. You also can start by sending students to a training program because either a workshop or to a summer program. Having experienced student leaders can make your life much, much easier. And then find an easy conference to start with. A local conference is often a great way to build up your skills and your expertise there. So those are some of the things I would do. I'd also check out our resources, especially the video resources to help you as you're starting with a new Model UN program. Great question. Okay. Those are many of the questions that I see now there. I don't see any in the Q&A. I see all of them in the chat, which is great. I see a comment here. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Raymond. I see an advisor that attended the Summer Advisor Institute and found it really insightful and a great way to learn about starting or organizing an MUN. So thanks, Raymond. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's an awesome program. I love getting to work with the teachers and our mentors that run it. Have a ton of Model UN experience to help you really get that program started. I see another great question. Can parents attend the 3-day institute? Yes, absolutely. We see that happen frequently, that a parent wants to take up the leadership and help get a program off the ground. That's never a problem. For us, I recommend running it by your school in advance just to let them know that you want to support a club or a program, but we absolutely invite parents to join that program as well. And with that in mind, let me actually switch over to talk a little bit about some of our summer programs and opportunities. We're actually giving away a full scholarship to the Advisor Institute as well. So I want to get mention that to everyone this evening as well. So, if you are interested either as a student or as a teacher in enhancing your Model UN skills to run a awesome Model UN program, I'd highly recommend checking out the Model UN Institute. We have virtual, in-person, day camps and overnight camps available. And specifically for students, you're really going to get the chance to become a collaborative global citizen, to connect with other high-performing, passionate students that care about global issues, and to receive personalized mentorship from amazing Model UNers from around the country and the world. And we run in person programs as well as virtual. This summer, our in person programs are going to be at Georgetown, Columbia, Boston University, UT Dallas, UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, and Rutgers. And we have some of these that are overnight camps, for example, Georgetown, UCLA, and UC Berkeley. You can have the opportunity to stay in the dormitories and experience college life while also enjoying learning about Model UN with your peers. So those programs are available for middle school and high school students. And we also run virtual camps. So if you're interested in attending a virtual camp over the summer, these are 5 days long, but only 3 hours per day, so we can make it really fun and engaging in that time frame. And we run programs for elementary school students, middle school students, and high school students, both beginner and advanced online, as well as in person. We have beginner and advanced programs. So I definitely recommend checking those out from a student perspective, and from a teacher or parent perspective. Feel free to check out the Advisor Institute. And I genuinely mean it when I say it is #1 rated. All the teachers that go to it rave about it. Thank you, Raymond, for sharing your experience. It is consistently shared as one of the best PDs that teachers have attended because we make it fun, engaging, and practical. And you'll walk away from this summer personal development ready to help your students succeed at conferences and ready to lead a successful Model UN program. And specifically, you'll get to learn all the fundamentals of the UN. You'll learn about research, topics, and countries and how to teach it. You'll learn how to teach debate as well as writing and delivery. You'll also learn different techniques for negotiation and collaboration and about resolutions and amendments. And at the end of the week, at the end of the 3 day program, you'll participate in a simulation as well. So you step into the shoes of your students and world leaders to understand how Model UN really works. And I'm excited to share that right now, this week, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Work and all of the hard and work and amazing things that all of you do, we are giving away a full scholarship to the Advisor Institute for a teacher or parent that wants to attend that program. So please check out our MUN Institute page on Instagram. And my colleague Tony will drop the link to our Instagram as well as to this specific post. Um, you've got a very good chance of winning. We are you just need to follow the MUN Institute, like the post, and tag someone that would like to attend. And if you're a student and you nominate a teacher and you win, you can gift this to a teacher or to a parent to attend the program. So we are excited to be giving this away in honor of teacher appreciation and all of the amazing Model UN teachers that give so much of their time and their talent to their students. So feel free to check that out. And I'll also share with you a preview, not yet live, but next week we're going to be giving away student scholarships to the Model UN Institute and virtual Model UN Institute too. So please do follow us on social media and share about our program. We are always wanting to share the word about Model UN with others. So check that out. And it's a great way to attend our program. And even if you don't win the giveaway, we still want to give you an incentive and a thank you for attending today and a discount off of any of our summer programs if you're interested in joining us. If you're interested in attending the Model UN Institute, you can use the code JumpStartMuni to save $125 off any of our in-person programs. If you're interested in attending our virtual camps, our code for that is Jumpstart VMuni, and you can save $50 off any of our virtual programs. And if you're a teacher this week, in honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, please use the code Thank You if you're purchasing the Advisor Institute, and that will give you $100 off that program. We are incredibly excited for an amazing summer with students and teachers and all the families that we work with, and we'd love to have you join us if you are interested in enhancing your Model UN skills this summer. And for those of you that have additional questions about that, I'm happy to continue to answer questions today, but I also want to give you our contact information. You can reach out to us at support@bestdelegate.com. You can also give us a call at 646-308-1411, and you'll get the chance to speak with Tony, my amazing colleague that can share a lot more about our programs, or you can you can schedule a call with us. And I see a couple other awesome questions in here. If any of you already did sign up but want to enter our giveaway or get this discount, feel free to reach out to us at support@bestdelegate.com. If you win the teacher giveaway, we'll give you a credit for the amount that you paid, a refund or a credit towards a future program. We want to support all teachers, and if you already signed up, we're thrilled and we want to honor that for you as well. So if you have any questions on that, feel free to email us at support@bestdelegate.com and we can help you out summer. I see another comment. Thank you so much, Martinson. I see your appreciation for our works. We really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you all. I know it's you're giving up time on a weekday evening to learn about Model UN and to help run Model UN programs. And that's amazing. Your dedication as students and teachers is fabulous. And with that, does anyone else have any final questions that you'd like to ask this evening? Please feel free to drop them into the chat if you have any final questions you'd like for me to cover today. And Tony, if I missed any questions, please feel free to flag them for me as well if anyone has any final questions. Okay. With that, I would encourage all of you to please hop on over to social media and enter our Advisor Institute giveaway if you're interested. If you're a student, feel free to enter it for your teachers or for yourself to give it as a gift to someone. And do check out next week. We will be giving away scholarships to our student programs as well. And we are excited for an amazing summer. I think this is year 13 of our summer programs, and we are just so excited to get to continue to work with amazing students and teachers from around the world. So thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to continuing to work with many of you and support your Model UN programs over the years to come. Have a great evening.